everybody for being with us here today, and especially want to thank those who were just involved in briefing me on giving me an update about the traffic challenges this area, this region are dealing with, as well as all the first responders in the room behind me and what they've been doing to prioritize saving lives. Obviously, there are enormous concerns and challenges that we're dealing with still in the Kerrville area. At the same time that we're responding to Kerrville, there have been an abundance of storms in large swaths of the state of Texas that have impacted lives and taken lives and destroyed homes, facilities, buildings, and roads across large regions in central Texas. As a reminder, I have declared 21 counties in my governor disaster declaration. They include Bandera, Bear, Burnett, Caldwell, Coke, Comal, Concho, Gillespie, Guadalupe, Kendall, Kerr, Kimball, Llano, Mason, McCullough, Menard, Reeves, San Saba, Tom Green, Travis, and Williamson. And that disaster declaration emphasizes the role that the state of Texas is going to play in each of those counties that are going through these enormous challenges. On top of that, I have to tell you new news, and that is because of weather that is going to be taking place today and overnight and maybe tomorrow. There are additional communities that need to be aware they're going to be facing challenges of their own. They include areas surrounding the communities of Uvalde, Del Rio, and the state is already deploying resources in those regions to help them get prepared. We'll be working with local officials in those regions just as we have in these other regions. And in those regions, as well as in Travis and Williamson County, as well as in Kerr County, job number one is always saving lives, protecting lives, and finding those who have lost their lives. And that is a 24/7 operation that we are unrelenting in continuing to pursue. That includes, especially if you look at the areas either in Williamson or Travis County or counties nearby. If you saw the rushing waters over the past 24 hours, you know that there were an extraordinary number of people who had to be rescued. Dozens of people were rescued because of our extraordinary first responder teams, and I want to thank the Gate Ward who have really stepped up and done a great job, National Guard, Texas Department of Public Safety, local firefighters and local first responders, as well as Texas Task Force 1 and Texas Task Force 2 and others who are truly saving lives. Many Texans' lives have been in danger. Most of those lives have been rescued by our first responders here in the state of Texas. I have to report the latest numbers of what we see both in the state, and I'll talk about the local counties where we are, as it concerns Texans who were lost, as well as those who are missing. Statewide, there's a total of 131 fatalities to be reported. Breaking that down in current and nearby counties, in Travis County, 9 people have lost their lives, there are 3 missing. In Burnett County, 5 have lost their lives, and there's 1 missing. In Williamson County, there are 3 who lost their lives, and no one is missing at this time. The stories about those who've been swept away is gut-wrenching and heartbreaking, and the kind of thing that spurs us to do even more to make sure that we're going to be searching and finding everybody that we can, as well as spurring the response that both the state and local governments, as well as the federal government, will have to make sure that we fully address the challenges that Texans have faced over the past week or so. In addition to the lives of our fellow Texans, there are homes that have been destroyed, people who don't have a place to stay. The state is working with local officials to address those needs. There's also infrastructure around those people that make living where they are or accessing their home either difficult or impossible. I visited one today. I visited the Big Sandy Creek Bridge and was astonished at what I saw. If you haven't seen it, it's a 2-lane road and has two yellow lines in the middle of it to divide one roadway from the other from going in opposite directions. And the center part of the bridge was literally moved about a half a foot in one direction, which shows the power of the water that was pushing through there, but also the reason why the bridge right now is impassable. I want to thank Travis County for stepping up and completing, I think it was overnight, a temporary bridgeway that people can use to now access that area that had been literally an island for several days. But also their commitment to work very aggressively to get that bridge repaired and will be usable on the permanent sense of the matter. We also know that there are other infrastructure challenges such as the RM 1431 at Cow Creek. And I visited with the Texas Department of Transportation, and they'll be talking to you shortly, but listen, they're going to be moving at lightning speed to make sure that that bridge is going to be operational again. They're in the preparation stage right now with regard to removing all the debris, so they will be able to begin the construction progress quickly. They're in the process of accepting bids, and I think, and it'll be announced here shortly, but announcing who is going to be getting those bids in order to begin the construction process. That done quickly. We know that the people who face challenges because of that bridge closure have those needs that must be met. And Texas is ready to step up and address those needs. Let me just add this. All of America has their eyes on what's going on in Texas. And Americans are praying, caring for, and helping our state so much. It's just unbelievable. But quite literally, half of the states of the United States are providing resources to help Texans either deal with those who are missing, help rebuild, whatever the need is. And I want to read off the states, the 25 states that are assisting Texas right now: Alabama, Arizona, Arkansas, California, Connecticut, Florida, Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Louisiana, Maine, Michigan, Minnesota, Nebraska, New Jersey, New York, North Carolina, North Dakota, Ohio, Oklahoma, Oregon, South Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia, and Wisconsin. You can see one thing that's quite obvious, and that is, it doesn't matter if they're a red state or a blue state. They are fellow Americans, and when times get tough, Americans come together. That is even more true as it concerns Texas. This has been an extraordinarily challenging time, if not the most extraordinarily challenging time that Texans have faced. And in typical Texas fashion, Texans have united, come together. And as I was visiting the Big Sandy Creek Bridge area, there was a young man who lived in what had been a marooned area. And he said, you know, at times like this, we are community. And everybody comes together and supports each other. And that's exactly what I see across the entire state. I'm proud of our fellow Texans, proud of our fellow Americans for the way they've all leaned into this to ensure that we as a state, we as a people, are going to be able to respond to this and deal with this as rapidly as possible. Now I want to turn things over to Director Williams with the Texas Department of Transportation.
Thank you, Governor. As you mentioned, our efforts here in the Central Texas area now are primarily focused on the rebuilding of the bridge at Cow Creek at RM 1431. Throughout this event, for the past few weeks, we've been supporting the efforts to repair and replace roads that have been damaged in Williamson and Travis County, Burnett counties. The one remaining section that we're focused on is the bridge at Cow Creek. On the Monday after the bridge washed out on a Saturday morning, we had contractors in place with heavy equipment that were beginning the work of removing the debris from that bridge that was completely destroyed. And so that process is continuing as we speak. In addition, our bridge teams with the Austin District of the Texas Department of Transportation have been working literally 24/7 to design a new bridge to replace that bridge that was washed out. We've also been working with members of the Federal Highway Administration that were on site with us this past Monday as well to review that damage. We've released those bids to contractors now that we have a complete design in hand. We expect to have bids back from those contractors on Wednesday of this week. And then after we award that contract, we will begin the process of transitioning from the debris removal contract that is still out there with a lot of heavy equipment today to the construction work on the new bridge. We're targeting a 60-day construction period for that bridge with some significant incentives to work to reduce the time frame for the replacement of that bridge by at least 20 days if we can. And so we know that that's a very significantly important bridge. It's an important travel corridor between Marble Falls, Lago Vista, and Cedar Park. A lot of people commute back and forth. The school year will be coming up soon. We have some students that attend Marble Falls ISD that live on the east side of that bridge, and so we need to be able to have plans in place to accommodate them. We're working with the school district on that as well. Overall, though, we've made some significant progress statewide. We're continuing, Governor, as you know, to work in the Kerrville Hunt area on State Highway 39 and Ranch Road 1340 to repair and replace the bridges and the roads that were damaged there. We did, as you also spoke about, experience some flooding and some additional damage just in the past couple of days. And we had road impacts. We had 49 roads that were impacted over the past 24 hours. 37 of those were closed due to high water, and some of those were damaged. But we're going to be able to get those turned around and replaced and repaired relatively quickly, and hopefully the water will go down and we'll get a break from the rain. So thank you for the briefing.
Thank you very much. Now, Lieutenant Colonel Baker.
Thank you, Governor. Ben Baker, Lieutenant Colonel, Texas Game Wardens. Before I get into a search and recovery efforts and, Texas Game Wardens' response to this historic tragedy of series of events in the Central Texas and in Kerr County, I'd like to just remind everybody that all of these efforts and all through this tragedy, Texas comes together under Governor Abbott's strong leadership, under Texas Department of Emergency Management, Department of Public Safety, all of our local first responders, all of our local EMS, all of our local volunteers, and everybody who is in Texas who comes together in such a tragic time and unites to help the people of Texas. Texas Game Wardens, as of July 3rd, through the State Operations Center, were set up and poised in anticipation of a flooding event. Through the calls coming in late and early July 4th, Texas Game Wardens were deployed to Kerr County. Since then, around 300 game wardens have deployed in the Kerr County and surrounding areas in anticipation of other flooding occurring in Central Texas. We were able to strategically stage through the Texas Division of Emergency Management several swiftwater assets in Central Texas out of the Kerr County area, just in case this flooding grew a little more widespread. Unfortunately, it did grow a little more widespread, and we started conducting rescue operations not only through our swiftwater technicians, but our aviation, multiple canine searches, and through our drone team. Through those, we were able to successfully rescue several individuals and multiple evacuations. We currently have, through Texas Task Force 1, wardens embedded in multiple search groups, searching Cal and Sandy Creek, looking for the remaining victims of this terrible tragedy. We've also got our canine detection teams in deployment with these search and rescue teams, and our aviation still embedded in these. We remain dedicated to Texas. We remain dedicated to the people of the state of Texas, and Texas Game Wardens remain dedicated and ready on standby, Governor.
Y'all been doing a great job. To see the videos of you all out in the middle of conducting rescues and literally saving our fellow Texans has been nothing short of miraculous. So thank you and all the game wardens for what you've been doing. Now the Travis County ESD Assistant Chief Whiteman.
Thank you, Governor.
You get a little bit closer right there.
Just after midnight, we started receiving the calls, and within several hours, we had logged 50 rescues, saving hundreds of Texans through our area. And this was noted and supported by our mutual aid and automatic aid partners throughout Travis County. Within 12 hours of the incident starting, the governor's office, as well as TDM, had sent us many resources. We supported our operations and was able to have us start setting up command structure a little bit more enhanced to start helping others. And what we would like to point out is, as ESD, we recognize the recovery will not happen overnight. It'll be a long and difficult road, but we're committed to staying engaged, showing up, and working hard alongside those we serve. This is our home too. We're members of this community, and we're committed to helping each one of our neighbors.
Thank you. And now Chief Nimkid.
Thank you, Governor. And listen, I want to thank you all in the press for helping us get this message out. Life safety remains our #1 priority. As such, as we've talked about additional rains coming into the state, we have pre-positioned swiftwater rescue assets, as the Governor mentioned, around Uvalde, around Del Rio, and around Concan. Help us get that message down to those folks to turn around, don't drown. Don't drive through a low water crossing if you can't see the road in front of you. And if you were in a low-lying area, please plan on moving to higher ground once the rain starts to come. Another thing I need you to remember is it does not have to be raining where you are in order for you to be impacted by flooding. Second, the Governor mentioned the 21 counties in his declaration. We have 6 counties right now that are in the federal declaration for individual assistance. Those counties are Burnett, Kerr, San Saba, Tom Green, Travis, and Williamson for individual assistance. We have a disaster recovery center open in Kerr County right now, and you will be hearing from your local partners here, many of those standing behind us, about the disaster recovery centers that will be opening in Travis and Williamson counties very soon. On the public assistance side, this is the money that goes to the local governments to help with emergency response cost and debris and repairing. You have 10 counties that are under the President's disaster declaration. Those are Burnett, Kendall, Kerr, Kimball, Llano, Mason, McCullough, Menard, San Saba, and Tom Green. Both Travis and Williamson counties are, it appears to us they have met their threshold. We're working with them to get the documentation to FEMA. We expect those to be turned on very soon. I want to let you know we have over 2,300 state employees working under the Governor's direction to support our local government partners. But a number that continues to blow me away is the over 13,000 volunteers just coming out to help anywhere they can. We are grateful for the volunteers, but I need help getting the message to the volunteers also. In each of these communities, we will be establishing volunteer reception centers. The idea is for you volunteers to go to those sites so that we can match up your capabilities and skills with the needs of the community. We also want to be able to communicate with you. Up in Kerr County on the Guadalupe River, we've had a tactical pause for a day and a half now because of the rain and the waters that are coming down that river. We cannot afford to have people in the water and right next to the water that are not swift water rescue trained and capable of at least saving themselves from being near that water because of the amount of rainfall that we're getting. Please help us communicate with the volunteers. Thank a volunteer that's out there if you see them helping. Do everything you can to make sure they understand the message, and we will continue to work together to support our partners. Finally, Governor, to your point, 25 other states, not counting ours, focused on this. It has been a tremendous response from the nation. Thank you.
Thank you. One thing that Chief Kidd mentioned that is worth re-emphasizing, and that is those who lose their life by driving into water. Those who lost their lives at Camp Mystic has been, those stories have been told a lot. And it's tragic and horrendous. Less told are those who have lost their lives because they chose to drop into water and got swept away. The power of water sweeping a vehicle away is far more extreme than what most people know. As waters rise over the coming days, could be in the Uvalde area, wherever it may be, people should drive with caution, knowing that you are totally in control of protecting your life and saving your life by not putting it into danger in the first place. We'll take a few questions.
Governor, for those that are still missing, can you give us some insight into how long it would take from when one victim is found to when they can be identified, family notified, to when, how long it might take the state then to, update the number of those missing?
Sure. First, I will tell you this, because I did not share this with you earlier. I didn't mention those who were missing in the greater Kerrville area, which is 97 reported as of now. Let me first tell you an issue about those who are missing, then I'm going to answer your question. So everybody who is at a camp, everybody who is at a hotel and places like that, they've been identified. Those who are missing on this list, most of them, were more difficult to identify because there was no record of them logging in anywhere. And it was through information provided by a friend, a family member, co-worker, whatever the case may be, that they haven't been found. Even though we are reporting 97 people missing, there's no certainty that all 97 of those people were swept away by the storm. That point aside, to more specifically answer your question, and that is, the goal obviously is to continue to find those who are alive. For those who have passed away, it's so important to closure for their families, that we find them and identify them. Sometimes it does require using DNA testing to identify who they are and identify who their family is, to make sure that we connect appropriately and correctly the family member with the person who lost their lives. And sometimes that takes a few days to complete that process.
Governor, given, understandably so, that first time the damage case sustained, they received a lot of attention, especially federal assistance. But what about here in Travis County? They were added late kind of to that declaration. What was that process like to try to get them added to be able to receive federal assistance?
Sure. So it is truly a mathematical construct that Chief Kidd has mastered. I'm going to have him answer that question in general, but also for Travis County.
Yep. So great question, and thank you for that. Two parts to it. One is the governor's declaration. There was no delay in getting these counties on the governor's declaration once we knew that they were in the target area. That's part one. Part two is the individual assistance for both of these counties, which is the money that goes and is made available to homeowners and renters, is already turned on in these counties as well. What we're working through right now is the public assistance, and that is a mathematical equation, as the governor said, based on the population of a county and the amount of damage that FEMA can certify in that county. The less populated counties have a much smaller threshold, $500,000, $600,000, versus millions of dollars for these two populated counties. I am confident both counties have met their threshold, and I would bet by today or tomorrow we get answers back on these counties. I also want to say that does not delay any of the work that's going on. Waiting for those federal declarations to come in does not slow down rescue, does not slow down search, does not slow down additional law enforcement or additional fire protection or emergency medical services, nor has it been slowing down the debris removal, getting roads and driveways opened up. So don't mix the declaration with the response, please. Thank you for the question.
Governor, have you seen any backlog of medical examiner offices, and if so, is there any work being done in sort of ease the burden on folks?
So I'll tell you this, the medical examiner's offices have been working pretty well and pretty timely. There was a backlog and there were challenges because of local JPs in Kerr County that were slowing things down, holding things up, and it required pressure from the state and others to make sure that they began to expedite that process. When a life is lost, that family wants access to their loved one as quickly as possible. It was inexcusable for some local JPs to slow that process down. But as far as medical examiners are concerned, I've heard no complaints about the speed with which they're working.
Governor, you serve.
They said you create a meeting and talking to people there. A lot of them were frustrated. They, of course, wanted help to come the day before. What was the feel that you got in talking with those people? And did you feel that they heard you, and did you hear them?
So I met with, I don't know how many people, more than a dozen. And the first impression and the strongest impression I got was one of gratitude. They were happy that we were there, happy with everything we were doing. They were grateful for the temporary bridge that had been built. The other way to describe it is unity. They were unified. It was those people who lived there. They came up and said, listen, we're community. We're Texas strong. We're hanging together. And they're neighbor helping neighbor. And so I was impressed once again with the strength and commitment and moral clarity of our fellow Texans for uniting at a time as tough as this is.
And to follow up to this, and it builds on what Chief was talking about, and Assistant Chief over here. The response from other states has been amazing. We've got teams that are now picking up the load, letting the local guys get having this heavy lifting going on in all these other states. So these guys here, Travis County ESD1 being one of them, getting back to basic services.
Everything all these other states is doing is extremely important. If I could say that one was more important than another, it would be what they are all doing in search and rescue operations. As Chief Kidd noted, our number one goal is protecting lives and finding lives. When I was at Big Sandy Creek, I met with search and rescue teams from Florida who were there in the water, working all day long to locate anybody they can find. That requires heavy volume. It requires manpower, walking every inch of it could be a creek, a river, whatever the case may be, to ensure that they are scouring every inch of earth in the state of Texas where a body could be found. And is benefited or aided by search dogs. And whenever we've had dog teams that have flown in from other states across the entire country. And so the response that we've been able to provide, especially as it concerns search and rescue operations, has been magnified many times over because of these teams who have stepped in from other states and given us the extra manpower as well as other resources to make sure we're better capable and quicker at taking on that task.
Governor, do you have the current number of how many are missing in Kerr County? It was reported earlier that it was around 160 people, and you said that 97 were missing in the greater Kerrville area. Do you have a current number in regards to how many are missing in the county?
Yeah, I'm going to give you the number. So the number I read to you, it was given to me by Chief Nim Kidd, and he was on a phone before we came in here, and I'll let him explain this number.
Yeah, thank you. So the number that we got from the Texas Department of Public Safety is 97 missing from the Guadalupe River flooding. That does not count the numbers that the governor read to you from the 3 counties that were here earlier. I think that'll put the total statewide at about 101 total, if I have that right.
What he means by Guadalupe River, most of those are in Kerr County. I think there has been some in Kendall County.
Yes.
Governor, you serve on President Trump's FEMA Review Council. How has this experience shaped your views on the future of FEMA? Should it be phased out?
So one thing I think most, let's say governors, most state officials, as well as the federal government could agree upon, and that is we needed improvements in FEMA. And it needed to be what I call right-sized so that it would be more nimble, quicker in the response, but also understanding that it's the locals who know what is best in responding to a disaster. And local is defined by these local communities, whether it be Leander or Travis County or Williamson County, whatever the case may be. They're the ones on the ground, and they know their communities far better than anybody else, and they know how to respond to their communities. And it's the state and federal government that work to provide them the additional resources they need to accomplish their goal. Here's the point. But by working on the reforms that we will work with FEMA and with the presidential team on, we're going to work to find ways to streamline the process, cut through all the red tape, to ensure that even when we do that, the monetary resources that we are receiving now that are much needed for things like having the emergency first responders or debris removal or search and rescue operations, those will still be funded, but we will have the ability to do it a whole lot faster, a whole lot quicker without waiting around for the federal government.
Last question.
Governor, with all due respect, I know you're going to play, but I did want to ask separately. Over the weekend, Secretary Christina said that she's in talks with 5 GOP-led states to have state detention facilities for immigration purposes. That's the Texas and conversations versus the federal government with immigration detention skyrocket.
So I haven't had a direct conversation with her. I do know that Texas has offered detention facilities. I've signed what's called a 287G law that was passed in the session that requires local jails to work with Homeland Security. Listen, we want to do everything we can to make sure that those who are here legally are allowed to remain legally. Those who are here illegally, they'll be turned over to ICE.
Would there be some?
That's it. Thank you. Thank you, guys.